Hi friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Cal and I are here today to talk to you about some really great books that we think you might enjoy. So because it's October and Halloween is coming at the end of the month, all month long we are going to be talking about some spooky books that we think you might enjoy. Some of them might be newer books, some of them might be classics, some of them might not even be too overly scary, but just to give you the right amount of thrills and chills. So, the first one is called Zone 1 by Colson Whitehead. Now, this book completely took me by surprise because Colson Whitehead is really well known for some of his other works, such as The Nickel Boys and The Underground Railroad. I had no idea he wrote a horror novel, specifically a novel about zombies. What? But it is absolutely amazing. And it's basically about this dystopian future where a pandemic, oh boy, has ravaged the world and has turned a lot of people into zombies. And it's about these small groups of people who are trying to rebuild the world and start over. And parts of it are very frightening, but also very hopeful because they're about survival, really, and about people that are just not willing to give up and wanting to build a life for themselves. And if you don't mind reading about a pandemic during a pandemic, this is a really good book to read. There's something almost very comforting, I think, when you read a book that is scary like this. And I don't know why exactly, but I know at least for me, it is something that's scary that's contained in the book and you're safely experiencing it. And it's almost like a catharsis, I think. So if you're looking for something like that, Zone 1 by Colson Whitehead. And if you've ever read anything else by Colson Whitehead, you know his writing is absolutely phenomenal, and that is still the case in this book as well. It's very well written, very enjoyable. The second book is called The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. The Silent Companions. Now, I didn't know about this until I read this book, but I actually looked it up afterwards, and it's true. The Silent Companions are actually a real thing that existed back in the day. They were these painted wooden figures that people kept in their houses, and they looked like people. They're just like little wood carvings of people that stand up on their own, and they look really terrifying if you go and look them up in the internet. I don't know why anybody would keep something like that in their home. But they are absolutely terrifying, and they were a real thing. This book takes place in the 1860s, and it's about a young, recently widowed woman who is going to her husband's estate in the countryside for the first time, and everything is just really messed up right from the beginning. She finds these painted figures all over the house, and they start to move, and nobody will own up to why or how they're moving. The servants are very resentful. The townsfolk are very hostile. All these accidents keep happening, and you just have to wonder if it's bad luck or if there's something really sinister going on here. And this is a really good book. It's not an outright horror, I don't think, but it's very disquieting. And I love books like that because I think they're very scary, and they get under your skin. And this is definitely a book like that. The Silent Companions. And if you do read it, you'll have to look up on the internet pictures of actual silent companions in the past, and they're very terrifying. Last, and especially not least, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. We talked about another Shirley Jackson book last week, and she is just one of the masters of scary literature. I love all her works. This is a book I read every year at this time because it's just perfect. It was the first book I ever read that had an unreliable narrator in it, and that seems to be such a popular trope nowadays in thrillers and fiction like that. But this was a really big deal when this came out because you have to have a relationship with the main character, with the narrator, right? And when you can't trust them, when you can't rely on them to tell you what's actually going on, that can be very scary in and of itself. And this book is about just these four people who are staying at Hill House for an experiment. And the story is focused mainly around Eleanor, who is just this lonely woman with a really tragic and dark past. And basically it's about her subsequent descent into madness. And it's about the house itself and how it works its influence on people. And this, I just want to read you the opening paragraph because I think it's totally, for me, I think sums up how basically insidious this story is and how it just really, it gives me the goosebumps every time. No live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. Even larks and katydids are supposed by some to dream. Hill House, not sane, stood by itself against its hills, holding darkness within. It had stood so for 80 years, and might stand for 80 more. Within, walls continued upright, bricks met neatly, floors were firm, and doors were sensibly shut. Silence lay steadily against the wood and stone of Hill House, and whatever walked there, walked alone. Ooh, the whole book is like that. It's not very long. I think it's less than 200 pages altogether. So it's just a quick read. It's very, very scary. And I think my favorite thing about this book is that, well, we can say the main character is Eleanor. But I think really the main character is Hill House. I love in books where a house or a town is a character in and of itself. And that is absolutely the case in this book. You can just feel the presence of this house while you're reading it. It's fantastic. I think there are multiple movies made based on this. And I think there's a TV show that came out last year or the year before. I haven't watched it, but I've heard that it's pretty good. So if you want to watch them, here's the source material. And this book is just phenomenal. Absolutely wonderful. Well, that's all we have for you guys today. I hope everything looked really interesting and fun. If so, please feel free to pick them up at the Farmington Community Library where they are available. Thank you so much and have a great rest of the day.